Hi, my name is Jeff Yeoman. I'm a contractor to the Colorado Water Conservation Board, and this short video here is to kind of help you see how to navigate our website and how to find information on floodplains near your home. So this is our home page here, and there's a few different tiles that you can look at with information on flood hazard. You can look at a library to download documents. This map is interactive to show different project area locations. This is frequently asked questions, and this is information largely used by communities. But if you're a homeowner, you're going to want to click on this flood hazard tab here, and then there's a few different steps you can look through. The simplest is if you want to just look up your address, if you're a homeowner, to zoom specific to your home. You can enter in an address or a town or a place. And then we can also look at a specific county if you want more information. But to start with a homeowner, we'll just use Left Hand Brewery as an example to see what it pulls up. So this is a homeowner report that we have it generate for every location that you enter in here. And you'll see two different window panes in here with information on the left and the right. It's the same location. However, on the left is showing the current or the effective flood hazard. This is what's presently on the FEMA flood insurance rate maps, or the FIRMs. Whereas on the right is what's considered draft or preliminary floodplain. So this is if the area has been restudied, but it has not yet been adopted as regulatory. Once it does, it'll become the current effective, and it'll be present on FEMA's website as well. But for now, we're showing upcoming or anticipated floodplains based on the restudy. So you can toggle, you can turn on an aerial if it's more helpful to see it in that regard. You can pan around in these frames and they'll stay together. And I guess the important information here is some of the colors. So you see the yellow here, that's floodway. So we have a regulatory floodway and an administrative floodway, and you can see on the left right now there is no effective floodway in this area, whereas on the right there's a portion, and this is kind of a unique area. We'll look at another example that has more of a continuous floodway. In blue is what's called the special flood hazard area, and it's a zone A or AE or AO or AH. And basically, A just denotes that it's part of the 1% annual chance, or often referred to as the 100-year floodplain. Again, that means in any given year, there's a 1% chance that that area may flood. So it could, on average, it might happen once every 100 years, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen more than once within 100 year or go longer than 100 year without it happening. And A just means base level. AE means that it's enhanced or detailed and includes surveyed information. AH means that it's a ponded area, and AO means that it's shallow flooding. And then where we have this orange for X, that's the 0.2% chance, or what we might call a 500-year floodplain. And then in some instances where we have very shallow depths associated with the 1%, something that's less than a foot, we can also denote that as a shaded X, which means that it doesn't have the mandatory purchase insurance requirement. If you scroll down on this window here, and again, this will give you the address up top, but for this specific address where that pin is dropped, and in our instance at this brewery, it'll show you the draft information or the preliminary statistics. And this will give you information of how deep it's anticipated to flood there at the 1% event. You might expect 1/10 of a foot here, so not too much. And here's the water surface elevation that would be. It's in the 100-year or the 1% floodplain. And then in any given 30-year period, the chance would be a 26% chance that you would experience a flood at that location during the average life of a mortgage. And for this location, we did not calculate any velocity information. So let's go back. I'm going to show you maybe another example where there might be information that shows current or actually the updated information, but no current information. So to do that, we'll look at an example in Meeker, Colorado. And at this location, you can see on the left, there's no information available, whereas on the right hand, there is information. This is the updated study of what's being studied now. And similarly, it's got information on depth and elevation. But on the left hand here, we don't have any effective information. So if you find yourself in this situation, that's likely because the map is the original mapping. Either it wasn't mapped or it was mapped, but it was done at an earlier time where we don't have the information in digital format. So if you wanted to get that information, you could go to something like the FEMA Mapping Service Center. So just search for FEMA MSC. You can type in an address here. So I put in Meeker again. And you can see here that was studied and updated in 1991. That means the study was probably done notably earlier. But if you look in the legend, it says there's no digital data available. So if you wanted that information, you can download products here, or you can click on download a firm panel, and this will download a TIFF file, or you can view one. So I showed it as an example here in a viewer. So if we were to zoom in on this information, you can see that there is a mapped floodplain in this area, but it's from a while back. So that information won't show up on the website when you look at it here. Now the opposite can happen as well. Let's say you're using this and you put in an address. I'm going to use an address of where I lived in college. And in this area, for example, there is an effective floodplain shown on the left, but none on the right. And this just means that it's not being restudied. So if you were looking at an area like this for your home, you'll probably get better information. If you go to FEMA's National Flood Hazard Layer, just type in NFHL. And when you go there, so we'll put in that same address, you can get more high resolution information for this location. Let's see, it should be refreshing, where it'll actually show the different floodplains, and it'll give you information like the base flood elevation and different cross sections. So this is a better place to find that information. Now, one last thing I'll show you, let's say you want more detailed information for a location. So here's a whole county. This is Boulder County. These are where some of the meetings have been. This next tab will show you where some of the different terrain data sources that are used. This tab will show you the different surveyed locations in terms of whether they're culverts or bridges. It's taking a little bit to load there. But let's go to an example where I know we have some gridded information that you could look at. So again, you can zoom in, you can turn on an aerial, and then you can look at the floodplains this way. And on here you can toggle the effective on and off. So right now what's loading is the current or regulatory floodplain, whereas what's behind it is the proposed changes. So I'll turn those back off. You can look at changes since last firm. So again, there's more information available kind of in this featured tab than the homeowner. You could look at specific depths by clicking anywhere on the map and get a depth estimate for where you are. Similar effort with water surface elevations. If you needed to understand what to build to, you'd want to coordinate with your local floodplain administrator before doing anything, but this is a good place to come first. And then this would show you the frequency of flooding and so on. And this one actually did have velocity information if that was useful to you as well. And then on the last tab, these are additional contacts. If you had any questions for us, these are some contacts at the Colorado Water Conservation Board that you could reach out to. And lastly, if you go on the flood hazard tab again and go to the general information, there's some additional information. We'll be adding more videos and some how-tos and templates, as well as on the first page, there's frequently asked questions. So hopefully that helps you. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to any of those contacts that I mentioned, which are also listed here as well. Thank you.